It's a rainy day and I'm going to be staying inside today most of the time. I've got my awning set up now and I've made myself a little front porch area and the kayak under cover while it's raining. But I've just often enjoyed just looking out the window and watching these ducks. I don't know if you can really see them. There's a family of ducks. Now, these little ones running around up the front, they're the babies. They're kind of like teenagers now. Another little family just floated past that had a whole bunch of little babies. And I've been watching these ducks since the day they were born. And it amazes me because they come and eat at this spot all the time. There's a couple more just over there. I think there's 5 in this family. 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. 4 maybe. No, 5. There's the 5th one there. And I've realised as I watch these ducks some amazing things. One is that every day I wake up and see them, they have almost doubled in size from the day before. It's hard to recognise them as the same ducks. Like they're actually looking like grown-up ducks now. Yet Mum is still hanging out with them, and I wonder at what point she says to her ducks, okay, her little babies, you guys are self-sufficient now and we will part ways. I mean, I guess they'll all hang out on the lake and, be just like normal ducks at some point. And I'm waiting for that point to happen because they're almost as big as her and she's still keeping guard of them. And if another bird or another duck or anyone, a dog or anything comes near, she, whack, 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 and she scuffles them out of the way and she protects them and looks after them. And usually it's the father and the mother duck will both take that role on from the time those ducks are born till whatever point. I'm thinking it's got to be soon with these guys. Oh, that's Mum and Dad there with them. Yeah, they're both there still. At what point they say, our job here is done. And it's just been really interesting to me to watch that because, from an evolutionary point of view, it kind of, I reflect a lot on, how we are with our children, the way they are so protective, the way the father and the mother just sole purpose is focusing on keeping these little babies safe until they are self-sufficient and then at one point leaving them be. The fact that they have this coordinated effort where mummy duck will scootle them off in one direction while daddy duck kind of, makes threatening sounds and noises towards, any predator or perceived danger that might be coming towards them. I've seen the father duck pretend to have like a broken wing and start flapping around on the ground when they thought, Pixie might come towards the babies, and then in the meanwhile, while the father's causing a distraction, mummy duck scuttles away off the water with her babies. It's just such a beautiful thing to watch, and it just makes me realize, that's our job with our children, is just basically keep them safe, keep them protected from harm, chase away the scary bad people, and show them how to be independent. And once they've grown up and independent, let them go on their merry way. And I struggle with that sometimes because I really miss my kids and I sometimes wish they were more involved in my life. But I watch these animals and I realize that if you've done your job right, your children shouldn't need you at all. And I take kind of a lot of comfort in that, I guess. I take comfort just watching what's happening out my window. And this is what I mean by connecting with nature, even if I'm not out there walking around and looking at it. I'm always looking out my window and I'm watching things like the cycle of the grass and these seeding grasses, that have been green and vibrant and now starting to seed as the weather's going to slowly start warming up, and then they'll die off. And then, they'll come back to life again, the way the trees, the flowers, everything renews and regenerates itself on a seasonal basis, the way the animals go through their breeding season and then their nurturing season and protecting their young. And we have so much to learn from nature. I'm kind of feeling at the moment that that's really all I can relate to anymore. And I spend this time on my own in my caravan, reflecting a lot and feeling, I don't know, I guess I feel like that, what's that guy, Thoreau on Walden Pond? This is my Walden, this is my Walden. I've created this little setup here to basically hide for a little while, and I'm not interacting with any humans. There's no other humans around me. There are the occasional other campers that come and go, and you might wave and say hello, but that's kind of the extent of your interaction. And then once every 2 weeks I venture into a shop to stock up on groceries and pick up my medicine, and that's pretty much it. Hello, Mummy Ducky. She's taking her babies out for a swim. How cute is it? Just better than the TV. Just being able to, this is why a view has always been so important to me. This is why living in a house, the type of house I could afford, I couldn't afford to have a house on the edge of the water or in a forest or, somewhere beautiful to look out the window, is so important to me. It really is what lifts my spirits and reminds me about what's real. And living in a caravan means that I can enjoy a view like this at a really, really cheap cost, affordable cost. And yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at head-wise. Feeling really in a good place, really happy with my life choice, despite all the craziness of the world situation and all the border closures and limits on my travel and restrictions and lockdowns and things that have happened, that I can still connect with a part of world that has no idea what's going on out there politically or health-wise, or these ducks have no restrictions whatsoever. They're not bothered by anything that's going on in world events right now. They're just living their life, staying healthy, eating, sleeping, and looking after each other. And that's pretty much what I plan to do from now on. One of my all-time favourite poets is an Australian by the name of Michael Leunig, who I got a poetry book when I was 7 years old. This is how my love of words first started. And it was a book called Stuff and Nonsense. And the very first poem that I memorized in it, and has been a bit of a theme for me ever since, was one called Sitting on the Fence. And it says, "Come sit down beside me," I said to myself, and although it doesn't make sense, I held my own hand as a small sign of trust, and together I sat on the fence. And when I actually got to meet Michael Leunig many years later at a poetry slam writers festival in Auckland, New Zealand, I asked him about that poem, and he told me that it was actually the first poem he had ever written as well. And we shared so much in common in our mindset. We just had so much to talk about, and I really feel like he's a kindred spirit in a lot of ways. And interestingly, I only just thought about this after I'd just, been filming these ducks and realizing how much I enjoy watching them, that Michael Leunig, funny enough, has always used these little funny little ducks in his cartoons. And he said at one point in an interview, somebody would have asked him, what is the significance of the duck? And he said, when you're feeling blocked, a duck will appear. It's a kind of form of inspiration, I guess. And it's just, I just sort of made the connection just then. I was like, this fascination with the ducks, and it made me think of Michael Leunig and the ducks. And I was like, oh, I get it now. I understand now why just watching these ducks has just brought me this sense of peace and the sense of what's real and the sense of connection. There's lots of cockatoos flying around as well, which is kind of cool. So there you go. Shout out to you, Michael Leunig, a guy who's been a cartoonist and a source of inspiration for so many of us, especially us sort of nature types, you know, our reclusive, creative, poetry writing, soul searching types, of which I am sure I belong. He's provided so much, and unfortunately was recently fired from the newspaper, the Melbourne newspaper, The Age, that he has written for and done satirical cartoons for 50 years. And the reason he was fired, because he did a cartoon depicting a sort of a similarity to the Tiananmen Square scene, where there's one person kneeling in front of a tank, and he drew a person kneeling in front of a tank with, instead of a big gun pointing at him, he had a big syringe pointing at him, and it was sort of his view on the fact that, there are still people resisting being vaccinated, and he got fired for that. I mean, do we not understand satire anymore? Like how many cartoons in newspapers have appeared for years and years and years, making fun of or drawing light to a certain political situation, and that's all he was doing, and it just seems weird to me that he would be fired because of doing what he's always done, just because it happened to involve a vaccination needle. So that's a sad state of the world. Michael Leunig, who will probably never watch this video, but I hope he does, and I hope he remembers me from staying at the Ferns in New Zealand. I'm sitting here pondering ducks, Michael, and I guess you're probably doing a lot of the same. And yeah, the ducks are real. And big love to everyone else out there. If you're struggling, just remember, just go watch some ducks for a while and sit somewhere beautiful in nature, and everything will start to make sense. See ya.